good afternoon or good morning if you're in California or wherever, that part of the world. One of my best friends lives in Hawaii, and we were discussing how we never talk to each other anymore because it's 12 hours difference, and we never seem to be able to get the date or the timing right and so forth. On the other hand, all of Roman's friends like to call him between 8 and 9 p.m., which is dinner time in Paris. And I once said to him, I said, well, why are they calling you when it's dinner time? He's like, because they know I'm home. So I guess my friend could call me at like 2 a.m. or something because I'm home, so, or 6 a.m., but I hope he doesn't. But today we have a rum drink. And I was just taking the bottle out here to start things off. Distillery Cats. Hi, Brad. My friend Brad is under a different pseudonym now. I guess after that joke about the blocking, I don't know if you were here on Saturday, but I found out a bunch of comments on all my cocktail posts in my blog were not being published. And somebody finally, I was like, nobody's commenting on all these recipes I'm putting up. I should stop. And some nice fellow wrote to me, he goes, I put a comment up and it didn't get published. And I found out because there's a part of the word cocktail was being blocked by a spam blocker. So I won't tell you which part of the word it was, but you can probably figure it out. I found all these cocktail comments in there, and I pulled them out and published them. And I just posted today's recipe on my blog today, which is an El Presidente. So you don't have to pay super close attention right now, especially if it's in the morning and you don't really want to have a drink. But I've noticed that something's changed in the last few weeks. When this whole virus started, everybody was really kind and people were saying hello and being very friendly. And, I wrote a few blog posts at the beginning when things were happening just to sort of, I thought people might need a cookie recipe or something, and everybody was very friendly and kind about leaving comments. So, and then something shifted about 2 weeks ago, and I started getting some stuff that's a little more pointed. So if you want to write something pointed to somebody, what you should do, and this is what I do, is I wait 24 hours, and then the mood passes, and then I can smile again. So that's one of my recommendations. There is something sort of in the air, and I hope it's maybe passing as well as the virus. But one thing, I've been going through my kitchen, going through all these little odds and ends, because I have all these cabinets and worth of stuff, and just things that I've collected over the years, people have given me. Hello in Dubai. And it's actually nice to use them up, because we always say we're going to use them when we let them sit, and we go out and buy new stuff. And I've been buying food. I bought all this tuna before the virus, before we went into lockdown. And I was like, I need tuna fish. And a French friend of mine said, well, what do you do with tuna fish? And I realized, they don't eat tuna fish sandwiches, really. I mean, you can get tuna sandwiches at the bakeries, but it's not something you'd make at home, I think. They certainly don't make patty melts. And because somebody recently told me that fish doesn't go with cheese. I'm like, patty melt. So I also have all these. So I was going to make, I thought, well, maybe I'll make pasta puttanesca, and I realized it doesn't have tuna in it. So I could make that, but I couldn't put it online because somebody would say, well, it doesn't have tuna in it. So, because all those people are coming back now and telling you what you can and can't do. I found I had tons of sardines. I love sardines, and France have very good sardines. So I do have a lot of sardines. I was making rillettes the other day with some mackerel. I also got mackerel. I have a lot of canned fish, so I'm going to have very high omega-3 consumption, which is good. But some of the other stuff I had around, I finally got rotten bananas or blackened bananas, and I made banana bread. So I'll post that recipe I'm glad you like the puttanesca recipe on my blog. J. McGuire. So I finally made, but everyone was making banana bread. I'm always too late for all these trends, or too early, I guess. I didn't make sourdough bread. I didn't have any sourdough discard. I don't even know what it is. But I finally had some ripe bananas, and so I made banana bread this weekend. And I'll post that recipe on my blog sometime soon. My radish has sprouted even more. I didn't know what to do with it. And a friend of mine, Joanne in Rhode Island, she goes, well, you can chop up the leaves and saute them and eat them. I was like, well, that's only going to be like a teaspoon of greens. But it was fun to do. I didn't know why everybody was sprouting all this stuff on Instagram and Facebook and social media. And I was like, okay. So I have a tree grows in my apartment. Some of the stuff I found was kind of cool though in my cabinets. And one of them was this marshmallow. I don't know why I bought this. It's the expiration date was 2009. Of course, I brought it from the US. I think I was gonna make like what do you call it? Those Rice Krispie treats, but it's kind of separated, and I'm sure there's nothing in here that goes bad, so I'm not throwing it away. I have these butterscotch morsels. I have no idea why I have them. I have a bag and a half, so I don't know what happened to the other half of the bag, but a friend of mine once made me something called scotcheroos from like a Wisconsin electric company bulletin or something. And they're really good. They're super sweet, so I think that's why I haven't made them. Roman, they might be too sweet for him. And it's funny because, and by the way, if I show anything that somebody gave me as a gift, it doesn't mean I'm a jerk. It's just, because I didn't throw it away. It just means it's still here, and I'm gonna use it in the next 2 weeks, I promise. This is a tiny jar of horseradish mustard I bought in Dijon, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it, but maybe I'll just put it on sandwiches. Although in France, you don't really put mustard on ham and cheese sandwiches. So this is it's called syrup, dark syrup from Sweden. I went to Sweden with some friends years ago, and a chef gave me this recipe for this bread, and I said, it's really good. He goes, you need syrup. So a friend of mine was in Sweden, and he brought me this. I think it's basically just sugar syrup. I don't quite know what to do with it. Now that I've made the bread, I guess I could make it again. I have this hazelnut praline, best before 2012, but from a very good company called Love and Bake in the US. And I don't know what to do with it because there's only like 8 ounces. So I don't know if I could make a cake or something with it, but recipe, please. We had a lot of, this is called ricoré in France. It's a chicory drink. And when we went off, I had to go off coffee for about a year or so. I started drinking roasted beverage drinks. You could buy them at the natural food store, like roasted barley. And it's quite good. They're quite good. They have that I was drinking tea, and in the morning I was like, I can't, I don't mind tea, but in the morning I need that roasted flavor. So this is something so we started buying this and drinking this in the morning. And I said to Roman one day, I said, we're kind of like old people putting chicory in our bowl and stirring it. Because they still sell chicory in France in the supermarket, in the coffee aisle. I think a lot of older people maybe have a souvenir of the war or something, and they just developed a taste for it. This is something interesting. I got this at Coluccio and Sons. Coluccio. Sorry about my Italian. Dom, if you're watching, I screwed up the name of your fabulous store. But it's this amazing store, and I'd never seen this. It's smoked wheat pasta. It's called orecchiette di grano arso. And I talked to this woman, Maureen Fant, who wrote a whole book on pasta shapes, and she goes, and this is just what she told me, maybe there's another reason why they eat it, but she said, in the old days, the peasants who worked in the factories would sweep up the floors, after the fire, the fire roasted everything, whatever it had to cook. And they took the flour home and made pasta out of it. So I don't know what kind of pasta to make with it. So if anybody knows, when I post this on Instagram, leave a comment there, or you can put it in the question thing there. I found some yeast. I should sell it. It's funny because I don't know what happened, but maybe because I'm getting old. Maybe I wrote about this in a book or something. I once mentioned Lipton onion soup mix. And so people started bringing me boxes and boxes of Lipton onion soup mix. And it makes a great dip. It's not something I make every week or every year even at this point, but I have 3 packets left. So I'm not sure what to do with them. Once again, like the marshmallow topping, whatever it's called, the marshmallow cream, probably lasts a really long time. This is black garlic. I think an épicerie here, a shop gave it to me, and I still haven't opened it. But at first I thought it was licorice. It's from Spain, so I guess I should open it and see. I think I saw on a restaurant menu once they had black garlic mayonnaise, so that's an idea. I did get peanut butter. They call it puree de cacahuète, and it's very nice. And a lot of people out there have offered to send me things. They say, oh, see, you're out of peanut butter. But the whole idea is to get rid of things right now. So thank you very much. But I got my hands full here. There's cabinets of stuff behind me, but I swear I'm going through them. This is something I love. This is polenta with buckwheat in it. It's called taragna. And excuse my Italian if the accent's not so good. But it's buckwheat with, it's polenta with buckwheat in it, and it's quite good. I still haven't opened this, but I'm getting to it. But one thing I did open, if you looked at my Instagram the other day, I have never made grits. And one of my lovely guests on my last ever culinary tour, I don't do them anymore, but we did one final one last year. And she brought me this from the old mill of Guilford, which I thought was in Connecticut, because I'm from Connecticut. There's a place called Guilford, but it's in North Carolina. And these grits are really good. I was like, well, why would you eat grits when you can eat polenta? Because polenta is yellow and it's flavorful and it's from Italy. And grits, these are really good. So I became a convert to grits last night, and Roman loved them as well. You know, there's all sorts of recipes. I looked all over the place. Everyone's like, cheesy grits, you gotta add creme fraiche, and you gotta add cream, and you do that. But the recipe from the mill is just like the simplest thing ever. It's like water, salt, pepper, butter, and grits. And they were very good. So I'm a convert to grits. I did not post really what was in them, because I figured the grits people might I might have made a mistake. So I was like, no, I just want to have nice comments and be around wonderful people like you. This is something really cool too. These are éclats de caramel, or like caramel chips from the Isigny, which is Normandy, where all that wonderful cheese and cream are made. Cheeses and creams are made. So they're caramel chips, and I could probably put them in an ice cream, but then I'd have to make ice cream, and I just made 2 batches of ice cream, and my freezer's full again. So those are some of the things that have been lurking in my cabinets, and I hope to use them. So if you do have this, it's actually really fun. My sister, if she's watching, I won't mention your name, but she's moving, and she cleaned out her kitchen and got rid of all this food, and then they got locked down. They couldn't move. So I felt bad for her, but you probably have a lot of stuff. If you're anything like me, you have a lot of stuff. I'm looking at my flour shelf, and I have all these different kinds of flour. I'm like, use them. I made banana bread, and I started putting whole wheat flour in it and so forth. So that was fun. And I'm enjoying, actually, the freedom of using all this stuff up. So before I go ahead and make today's drink, which I love, I have to say, tomorrow I have a super special guest. It's Pierre Olivier, who is the owner of Dolin Vermouth. And he's going to be joining us from his, I don't know if you call it a factory or distillery in the French Alps tomorrow. He is a super nice guy. When I was researching drinking French, some people don't get back to you. They don't want to answer your messages, and that's okay. He answered right away. Very nice man. We had a talk, and he said, yes, come whenever you want, I'll show you everything. And I went there, and he had all these vintage bottles in his office. And he also had these ledgers that were written with a quill pen with all the recipes from like the 1800s. And I said, can I take a picture? Because I was like, he's like, yeah, do whatever you want. It's, it's just stuff. You're not going to make vermouth. You're not going to start a factory. So, he's just a great guy. So he's going to be here tomorrow at this time. And if you have any questions about how vermouth keeps, how it's made, what you can do with it, anything about the French Alps, he's the guy. And he's, like I said, he's very nice. He speaks very good English. And on Thursday, I'm going to have Quentin Chapus, or Quentin Chapus. And he is the official head of the French Federation of Apéritifs. So we're going to be at his office, which is a cafe with a lot of bottles around it. And he's going to make a drink for us and show us how to do some French apéritifing, if that's a verb. So speaking of apéritifs, today's cocktail is called the El Presidente, and it uses something very interesting. It's vermouth blanc, which is white vermouth. And a lot of people are familiar, of course, with red sweet vermouth. There's dry vermouth, which is what you would use like in a martini. But blanc vermouth is a type of vermouth. Allegedly, from what I've read, it was invented in Chambéry, the style of vermouth. And it's a white, it's sweet, but not sugary sweet. It's not like elderflower liqueur, but this particular one by Dolin has sort of heavy notes of elderflower. You could smell them. It's got like vanilla. It's a little resiny from the wine and the sugar, but it's really wonderful stuff. Somebody told me yesterday if I hit the question button, it blocks me. So I'm going to hit the question button super fast. And then, yes, so today I'm going to talk about, because a number of people buy it by accident. Yes, Café La Trova, I would like to go there too. A lot of people buy it by accident because they think they're buying dry vermouth. It's actually, there's some wonderful recipes that you can make. You can make a spritz with it, mix it with tonic water, mix it with club soda, put a wheel of orange or lemon in it or lime and call it a day. But it goes, a couple of years ago, I was talking to the distributor of Dolin Vermouth in New York, and I said, what do you do with this? He goes, the El Presidente, so good. He goes, it's a great cocktail. And I went to his website and I looked, and their recipe was, it doesn't block me. Okay, thanks. It's okay to block me. I went to their website, and the recipe they had was just equal parts white vermouth with equal parts white rum. And I was kind of searching around online, and I saw on a couple websites this recipe from a fellow named Julio Cabrera, who has a bar in Miami. He's the owner and a bartender. It's called Café La Trova. And he was also named the best bartender of the year in 2019. So this drink I made of his was outstanding. It was an excellent example of this drink. And it seems like it's kind of great because the cocktail world is pretty loose about stuff. You see bartenders will make an El Presidente, but they'll put their own twist on it. Somebody might put sherry in it. Somebody might put, bitters in it or so forth. And people don't get it's not like a Caesar salad or a salad niçoise where it has to be a certain way, or pasta carbonara. Bartenders seem to have a lot of liberty, which is kind of fun and sort of liberating. So I'm happy to make this one because I found it extraordinarily good. So I'm going to bring out this little table, and you need 3 things for this, 3 liquors, and you might have them already on your hand. Yes, Brad, he was featured in the Punches. I didn't see that, but he seems like a cool guy. Several people are asking if you could sublilé. Yes, you could. It's not, once again, it's not the same thing. It's like saying, can I use pork in a stir fry rather than chicken? Yeah, but it's a different flavor, so it's okay, it's your drink. People write to me often, they go, somebody wrote me and said, I can't find Rancancan, which is a French peach liqueur, it's apéritif, and I don't blame you, it's not that easy to find, although it's available. And she said, can I use peach liqueur? I said, well, try it and see, you might invent something on your own. And one woman actually was cute because she wrote to me, she goes, thank you for showing a recipe with this because I bought a bottle and I've been making martinis with it, and I didn't know. So now I know. So she enjoyed the drink, and some people think that the actually original martini was a sweet drink. So maybe it was made with a vermouth like this. I don't know. I'm not a cocktail historian. So the other ingredients in this cocktail are rum, and I'm using this as plantation rum. Dolan vermouth. I'm trying to keep this French as much as possible. And then I've got some triple sec from Maison Ferrand, Pierre Ferrand, which is wonderful. Real. I use this a lot, and I'm not. They're not sponsoring me or anything. I just read about the deal that what's his name got, the guy from The Office, for selling his Good News Network. So I'm pushing triple sec. How's that? That's why he lives in a nice brownstone in Brooklyn and has that lovely wife. And he was once sitting behind my friend at a restaurant in New York, and I forgot his name because I had a blank. But I was like, I didn't want to say, turn around. I was like, John Krasinski's right behind you. And Emily Blunt, his wife. So she was in that wonderful movie about where you can't make any noise. So, the El Presidente. I'm going to open this. Somebody told me I needed to be more organized. So, in one of the comments. So, I'm going to be... I've written everything down. I have little notes for myself. I promise to get better. Or not. Okay, 1.5 ounces of rum. And dark rum. You can, basically, all the recipes I saw either used white rum or what's called amber rum or golden rum. And there's no real definition of dark rum. But you can see this one's golden or amber colored, and it's just a good rum. Good rum has sort of that toasty, it's almost like French toast smell. A little mapley and delicious, it's good stuff. This is funny, I found this bottle. This is like supermarket, like the cheapest white rum. It's super high proof. I bought it because I was testing recipes, and I think it's flammable. Okay. So we've got 1.5 ounces of rum in here, and I'm going to add 1.5 ounces of vermouth blanc. I'm adding 3/4 of an ounce of blanc. Bianco, Italian vermouth. Bianco, if you see Bianco vermouth, that's vermouth blanc. That's the same thing. The quality differs. So, and then I'm going to add 1/2 ounce of Curacao or triple sec. And you could use Grand Marnier, you could use Cointreau. I kind of avoid using the really cheap triple secs because they don't really taste that good. And I don't want you to get, if I start pouring them into drinks, you'll think that I have bad taste. So, even though I just showed you I have marshmallow cream and butterscotch chips and Lipton onion soup mix, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. And then the final ingredient is a bar spoon, which is about 1/2 teaspoon in my book. Some people have different, you can find articles all over the place about what is a bar spoon. It's like, what is a dash? I usually measure it. I don't use a bar spoon, but it's 1/2 teaspoon. And this is funny because if you remember, I did an episode on Café drinks, and I got grenadine because they use it in France, but it had all these fruits on it. And man's like, that's not grenadine. It's fruit syrup. And I said, well, it says grenadine on it. So it's actually, I think it's a little mixture of fruit. But apparently it has no artificial colors in it. And I'm not a left-handy person, so I'm adding just 1/2 teaspoon. Then I'm going to get some ice. So somebody said that I spoiled them for other Instagram stories. I just want to say I watched Thomas Keller making a tart in his oven, and the oven looked like it had just been delivered. It was so clean. I was like, this guy is really great. I want my oven to be that clean. So give it a good stir. I had a neighbor who used to sit outside and smoke all day, and it would come into my apartment all the time. And I kind of didn't like her until I met her. And then she was like really nice. I didn't know what to do. And then I got to know her, and she's just really lovely. And then she moved. So on the plus side, I don't have a smoker outside my door anymore. Outside my window, rather. The bottom side, I lost a nice neighbor. So, nice chilled glass. And I made these cherries. The recipe is in Drinking French. They're Amarena cherries. They're just candied sour cherries. So, well, they get a little soft because they're cooked. They're candied. But you can buy them. Oh, someone made the Hemingway daiquiri. That's a nice drink. And I need to go to the Hemingway bar again. Well, I'm actually... Where's my strainer? Oh. There was some like old senator and he was like, he did something weird about his glasses and everybody was criticizing him as being old and out of touch. And the other day I put my glasses on and I already had another pair on. So, okay. Oh, Vidal's fan. Glad you liked La Part. So, this is the El Presidente. And then what you want to do is get one of your trusty oranges. Take a nice piece of peel off. And I'm not going to use this as a garnish, but I'm just going to express the juice over it. And if you remember my friend Margot from Combat, she would take the lemon, or the citrus, and just move it around the outside of the glass. And she said that that made people, when they touched the glass, it would release the fragrance. So you could do that. It's kind of nice. And watching her make a drink is like poetry in motion. So, so you could do that, impress your guests. I'm going to add a cherry. And you could use a maraschino cherry, one of those store-bought red ones if you want. No shame in those. Yes, Tavio, I love her too. But I love all my guests. That's why I have them. I love Miko, Romain, Jean-Pierre Demain, Pierre-Olivier. I told you, like, it's a really good cocktail, and the Blanco vermouth really makes it. I presume some people are going to ask if they can use dry vermouth, and I think you could, but it's really good just as it is. And also, I hate to tell you to buy another bottle of liquor, but if you buy it, you will use, you will make this drink, I guarantee, because it's very floral. It's almost like, I hate to use the word perfumed because that is sort of negative for me in a cocktail, but it's a perfectly balanced cocktail. Yum. It's a great cocktail. The El Presidente, and gracias Julio Cabrera for this wonderful recipe. And I put the recipe on my blog. I, of course, gave him credit. I mentioned where I found it and so forth. But also the recipe's there so you can make it. Invite my neighbors on the show. I did have a neighbor. I had my friend Guy from Café Oberkampf and Café Maricourt, who's going to be opening this week for takeout, which is great. And one of my other neighbors, he told me he went to, I don't know if you're familiar with Septime. Septime is a sort of well-known restaurant now in Paris. It's the hardest restaurant to get into, I would say. Like Beyonce came to Paris and she ate that. But it's not fancy. It's very nice, but you know, it's not one of these high, you know, it's not super expensive or anything. But you can't get in. And they opened a seafood bar next door, which also got quite busy, but it was walk-in only. And I never went because I don't like waiting in line. But my neighbor's like, oh yeah, they're doing fish and chips now. And I'm like, and I'm not like a huge fish, I'm not like dying for fish and chips. But he goes, it was really good. So I went online and I looked, and they have fish and chips. It's 10 euros, and you can get that. You can get 3 oysters for $7.50. So I'm trying to decide if I should do that tonight, or there's a pizza place near me that usually doesn't do to-go pizzas, but a friend of mine got one and she posted a picture on her Instagram that looked really good. And they have one with spicy sausage on it. So should I get fish and chips or pizza tonight, or just stay home and eat vegetables? I have asparagus in the fridge. Or stay home and drink these cocktails. So that is the El Presidente. And I just want to say, oh, I'm glad you like the Ginny Germain cocktail. I was thinking of having him on the show. But I think we're all still trying to figure out how we can get up. a lot of conversion questions. I'm not good at thinking on my feet, so sorry. And I'm also not good at doing substitutions because fish and chips and asparagus, yes. Oh, fish and chips, everyone's like fish and chips, fish and chips. They have homemade tartar sauce, so that might be the impetus to go there. Let's see, Benedictine. I don't know if stores are open yet. I think they might be, but I don't have any right now. So I'm trying to go through my liquor collection, but I do need to go to Jules, so maybe I'll see. Okay, nobody's saying get pizza, but pizza, it's funny because pizza has a bad reputation. If people don't live in Paris, they go, I would never go to Paris to have pizza. But the French are the #1 consumers of pizza in the world. They love pizza, or we love pizza, I should say. And there's actually some very good pizza. There's some not good pizza too, just like in America, but you can get really good pizza here. So I'm going to decide when this is over, which I think it is. So once again, tomorrow I'm going to have Dolin, Pierre-Olivier from Dolin Vermouth. I don't know if he's tuned in, but if he is, say hi, do a wave. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow with him. Bring all your questions about vermouth to him, about how long can it keep. You're making the radish leaf soup tonight. Oh yeah, good. What's French pizza like? Well, it's mostly Italian pizza. It's single serving. Pizza's about this big. They don't have the big ones that you cut into triangles. But there's 2 places in Paris that do them. But, we go to Clamato at noon. Well, a friend of mine's daughter worked there, and she's like, oh, I can get you in. Just let me know when you want to come. And I never took advantage of it, and then she left. She moved back. She moved to the U.S. because she's half French, half America. So, hello, and thank you all for saying hello and thank you. So, once again, the El Presidente, the recipe is on my blog. If you want to leave a question or a comment on the Insta, I'm going to put this on my feed afterwards, and you can leave a comment also on the post on my blog. You can use the word cocktail because the word is no longer being banned by my spam blocker. Okay, I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.